The epic conclusion to Superstars versus Space Station is just about to start. We've made it all the way to Game 5. And after Space Station winning on both Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrines in the first two games, it seemed like there was no way possible that we could make it to the point that we're at now. But Superstars winning the last two games, Tomb of the Spider Queen versus a Nova, granted, and then on Sky, where we thought probably the edge would still be in Space Station's favor, and now we're going to a place that we knew was very likely in the series.
Yes, Dragonshire.
But
go ahead and say it.
What?
Who picked it?
What? So Space Station not only gave up first pick, but then is going to a battleground.
It's Kerrigan Olarak.
Good for, or is it back finally?
I'm willing to go as far as to say that there is definitely cheese being planned, and it is a hyper-aggressive composition because that's the only form of cheese the Space Station Gaming knows. It doesn't make sense. This is Superstars' better map. You asked me before, small maps are the place to go. Space Station picked both of them going into, you know, surprisingly the cheese on a map like Tomb, it was aggressive, like I had just said. So, the last time we saw cheese from them was the way that they were able to get into the HGC, which was all the way against Naventic way back, Kerrigan Olarak.
But that wasn't with Equinox.
He can play both.
That's true.
Let's see it. I don't know,
go.
Something's got to be here for the members of Space Station. It has to be.
And as we get ready for this Game 5, let me remind you that the winner of this game gets a whole lot better for them in the standings. If Superstars wins, this series, even in death, is guaranteed in the Crucible. Superstars has eliminated one of the two threats keeping them potentially within Crucible range, whereas if Space Station wins this series, they will overtake Tempo Storm in the standings and take 4th place. Granted, we still have the rest of this week and next week to go in matches, but it puts a lot more pressure on Tempo Storm. Nobody wants to be in the very first playoffs match.
I mean, I can tell you Tempo Storm doesn't want to be about in any playoffs match, so the fact that we are considering them, again, bottom of the barrel, bottom of the ladder, I guess is a better way to put it there, is a very interesting situation North America's found itself in. So has Space Station here. Tassadar, Medivh, Standard Bands, Dahaka, Greymane is the area they're going to go after getting themselves an ETC. Falstead, Malthael, Superstars. Is it the pick? It accents both. It accents the map, the laning matchup, and more importantly than anything, it put their play style.
Arthas Falstead.
Why this Arthas? Where's the Malthael? I was promised North America liked Malthael, and then he's just gone.
It does seem though like Superstars, if they Superstars feels like they have to take ETC from Space Station, right? And then they want Arthas in one of the two. Srey or Airhouse, somebody's playing Arthas. It feels like Superstars functions better. They feel more confident, more comfortable when they have Arthas. The Lich King slowing people down. Now there's a Lucio ban. But we have Dahaka Malthael on the other side.
It's possible less common on a map like Dragonshire, I feel like, than we would see on some of the others, but maybe Superstars questioning what that ban is going to be.
Oh, Superstars' second favorite support tends to be Lucio, though it's Iacona, right? So there's lots of different supports that he can play. But it might just be limiting a sound barrier as a way of stopping a very melee-style, aggressive composition if that's where Space Station want to take it. And then the Gul'dan ban for Superstars.
So where do we see Space Station pick up here? The Gul'dan ban removes a lot over to the wave clear of the 4. Suddenly Rhaegar gets incentivized a lot heavier for both sides of the battlefield, knowing that the supports might be the ones having to make up for the pressure into the mini waves. Much like Tomb, this map, I mean, maybe even more so than Tomb, depending on how you play out the Dragonite phase and are able to be successful with it. It is all about wave clear.
Rhaegar tends to be one of the favored heroes between the two, but instead Space Station will get Johanna and then go back to the Karzim. They give Superstars the option of getting Rhaegar still.
So they have the opportunity to pick up the Rhaegar. They have Arthas ETC. That's a lot of lethal into the 4-man. That would provide the support. Falstad to gank up with Arthas and Dahaka into the top half of the map. There's about nothing to be afraid of for Superstars when it comes to what they want to pick up. It's just how do they want to play out this laning situation. More concentration into their 4 or a bit more effort towards killing that the Dahaka up towards the top.
I feel like I'm missing something for Superstars. They have... It's back down to Yoda's hero. Is it Lunara?
See, like the
Combo
Lunara
with
Vala is...
Lunara Arthas?
It's what they've been sticking to, but Lunara doesn't do well into the Karzim. Like, Karzim is one of the best supports to be able to deal with that damage output, so I feel like something other than that makes more sense. They go with it still, the Malthael and the Rhaegar. And that feels like a huge, huge power play by Superstars. Now, SpaceStation, I would be surprised if we don't eat all 45 seconds remaining in this time period after that.
SpaceStation themselves banned Lucio too, although they haven't played. They haven't been one of the teams playing Lucio against a Malthael.
I'd be willing to say, ooh, maybe not.
It's going to be good versus all those melees. Horrify's already gone. So that was a brilliant ban from Superstars.
Lunara is pretty effective. Jaina is one to be considering after her rework. Jaina makes the most sense to me, I feel, against that many melees. Just provide the wave clear. It's got lethal into Falstad, decent follow-up to Johanna, one of the few that accent condemn. They go with the Chromie to stop the pressure in the laning situation, but that does not help when it comes to controlling the 1-4 of Superstars. It just will stop the early game pressure they can put up onto the front walls, and I don't know if they necessarily need that pressure to be successful in this game. Was a supernova all it took to blow up SpaceStation Gaming? Seriously?
It does seem really weird that one game where you take a risk, you know it's, if it works, it's awesome, you get that quick third win, but then if it doesn't work, you knew that it was a risk. Should not be that big of an issue for them.
That's what you would think, but then I feel like they took risk number 2, again, talking about the Malthael on the top half of the draft, the Sky Temple. And now draft number 3, they find themselves in a dead even situation, and maybe they didn't expect to find themselves here again after that Nova pickup, but this doesn't, to me, stand out like a SpaceStation Gaming draft. It doesn't stand out when considering the map. It just... Honestly, it doesn't stand out. Superstars got a little bit of everything. They made a big power play by committing to the Malthael in the secondary half, which was kind of a bit of a bait and switch-ish in terms of the priority of the heroes. Didn't think they'd run the triple melee, but Arthas can run into the 4-man effectively, so now it's a winning trade up on top. They have a global. Everything about this game says Superstars got in the bag, except for they struggle levels 1 through 9.
Well, let's do it. Game 5, Superstars, SpaceStation. Does Superstars pull a reverse sweep, or is SpaceStation able to maintain? Woohoo! Game 5! Camera guy's making sound effects to the camera move that he's doing there. That's how epic this Game 5 is.
Just the
it's all on the line.
Swooshing out.
Cool to see Yoda go back to Malthael. We haven't seen him play Malthael as much since Superstars had... Really, all of this part, when they came in, they had Daihu, and then Erho was playing more of the Malthael.
So let's
I
see
think what it is, maybe that doesn't feel like a very SpaceStation-esque type composition, is that usually that last pick is flexed into something that's generally not meta, right?
Yeah.
And then in this case, it's just... not just a Chromie, it's the new Chromie, it's different, but it does still feel like it wasn't, oh, Talking Trees busting out his Alarak versus all of the melees, or I think that Gul'dan was right on the money and probably very likely something that SpaceStation were hoping to get, and it would have been even better, but Superstars just did not let it happen. They had the foresight to be able to remove that.
Really interesting choice, though, is that Malthael is in fact going to be the man up on bottom rather than up on top. Top is going to be the highly pressured one, so they feel the survivability of Arthas into that laning matchup and Falstad being able to aid him is better than committing Arthas for the kill potential of the 4-man and stopping the Chromie deterrent, and then also, more importantly, having a laning matchup with the Malthael versus the Haka 1 versus 1. Power slide out, first blood over to Superstars here as they get a huge collapse up on top.
Jason took one look at all of the members of Superstars in that weird spot for all the members of Superstars to be and said, no thank you. Immediately ran after the top, but the first blood claimed by Superstars. Now SpaceStation trying to even that up, but it's just the Johanna, Karzim, and then Talking Trees down here in the bottom. I expect Superstars to continue making a lot of those awesome rotations with having Falstad, having heroes that they can swap out in the solo lane if necessary. What can SpaceStation do to keep up with that?
I mean, SpaceStation, I feel like the biggest thing for them to keep up with what we see already happening here is got to be the fact that they can't split the two together. They use Chromie, Cassia, and Greymane always have to be together as a 4-man unit because they are down in the wave clear, and try and make sure that they keep up with the two. I mean, essentially a 2-1-2 that Superstars is kind of provided for this game. And if they do that, then they can one-shot the wave effectively enough to where they will lose controlling both shrines, but that's not the game they're playing anymore. It's not about the shrine. It's more about draining out the ammo and then abusing the the drained ammo to either get further structures, but more importantly, then you can control the shrines. But if you're losing on all fronts, you have to essentially accept one aspect of the game and say, this is the one I'm going to control, and this is the one I'm going to manipulate. In SpaceStation right now, we're looking for what is that aspect of the game that they're making that happen right now. Looks like it's going to be with a giant camp.
Dread, how do you think that the new setup for Sandblast, the halved scaling, the lesser starting damage, and then the need to make sure that you're landing a lot of Sandblast to continue, is going to work now for a Chromie that we've seen a lot in North America, which is a lot more about maintaining the lane, and she might only just have that one target to try to hit with Sandblast reliably?
I mean, I haven't gotten to really do a lot of the math on what the Chromie numbers are going to make it out to here, but it feels like, hold on a minute, Drag is going to land there onto Jason. Excuse me there, Greymane got
down too.
Immediately punished there. Very well done. It's 1-for-1 here for these two teams. I was going to say, just anytime you have a skill shot hero and you're going to nerf it like that, she was skill shot dependent before, her effectiveness, right? Having the strength of her main element and to her kit is just blatantly going to make it more difficult to be able to keep up with. The positive sides are it has infinite scaling, meaning time is on their side. Dragon Charge is a slow map, something we might be looking towards trees to try and abuse. But to be honest, a high skill cap hero with high amount of skill shots, it's really hard to gauge. You can't play enough solo queue to gauge how effective is Chromie going to be because, you know, the pros dodge a little bit better than about everybody else.
The thing that will help with this at least is that hitting the consecutive heroes does grant you the extra hit, so that can still help Trees as long as he's being consistent with his Sandblast. He's sitting at 14 so far. He did not take Mounting Sands to give him the third of that.
I'm actually pretty confident he just misclicked its auto attack and hit a minion with it. Either way, he just barely had enough damage to convert the kill, and I thought he would have had it there on bottom. So misplay here from SpaceStation Gaming. Jason's now the focus up on top. And Superstars is just having their way. Any aspect of the map here, they're just like, yep, we'll take this, or we're going to get this. And it's just crumbling here for SpaceStation. I want to say that, again, I feel like this is going to change, but much like the Nova game, Gilly, it's a teeter-totter. Not as big as the Nova game was, but it is a pretty big one that SpaceStation Gaming stand on. And right now, Superstars is quickly flipping the table.
Yeah, if SpaceStation were hoping that they could win on the Siege and the wave clear front, Superstars now has gotten the first Dragon Knight, and it is Iacona inside there, but it's a later, it's not a later game Dragon Knight. Superstars.
Blind goes out. Wow, that barrel roll, man. The fact that he was able to survive that. Yoda's here now. Tiger JK's in a bad spot. He has 2 Radiant dashes, though. He can go over the wall if anybody gets close enough. Yoda's got to avoid that. So does Urho. Giving him the escape there. Hope he has a power slide. Not the case. He survives. It's a thing to be considering on how you gank on anybody with a point-and-click gap closer. It's like ganking a Chen. You never gank a Chen from behind because he 100% survives.
Level lead now for Superstars. SpaceStation seems troubled this game. There's been some missed drags. There's been some far more kills for Superstars, sitting at 4-1. There's the level lead for Superstars. SpaceStation needs to figure out what they need to do to not panic in this situation. And it can be really hard when you are up 2 games, you think you have it in the bag, you bust out a composition that maybe you thought was an easy win, and maybe it was frustrating that you couldn't get that, and now things are sort of falling apart. But whatever it is, SpaceStation needs to figure it out.
They legitimately could not have found a better opponent to have that problem against in North America, and legitimately could have not have asked for a better map. So SpaceStation Gaming is primed with those 2 factors to be able to make that happen here in this game. We'll see if they can do it up on bot. Flight coming out from Hosty. He's going to gust him in, and with no heroics, This is quickly going to be the members of SpaceStation Gaming falling apart. Yoda overextending. He goes down. Hosty's dead too.
Equinox got Hosty. Now Iacona can't run
Christmas is ruined. SpaceStation Gaming fighting back over a Superstars, getting a bit greedy here.
They figured it out. All they had to do was wait for Superstars to get aggressive, and they punished it without heroic abilities to start, but they win with them. With Shrines activating in 19 seconds, this is setting up for them to start firing back in this game, claiming mercenary camps, pushing the waves, and getting set up for the Shrines.
It's got to feel bad for Superstars that the one team fight, you know, that they're willing to be aggressive, and finally in this series, they're feeling confident. They made it to Game 5, and they're going to pick a fight, and then getting so ambitious in doing so, making a couple of what I would like to say is, you know, a little bit of a beginner's mistakes here and there, and one positioning misclick, fight's over. SpaceStation here, though, with the bottom shrine controlled, they got a little bit of pressure up on top. The biggest thing is that the Falstad is going to wait into the wayside, and Rhaegar's getting pressure there in the northern lane. This is going to force SpaceStation to ideally send the Dahaka on the bottom and then 4-man pressure up at the top. But they're more reactive than proactive here in this game. So we'll see what Superstars lets them get away with more than anything.
Yeah, not being able to send Dahaka to that top shrine, and now seeing that the Bruisers are taken, SpaceStation just move back into the bottom lane and start trying to see if they can get a free siege, knowing that Superstars is invested so much in the top lane.
If they fail to react at any point in time here, and they just kind of let things kind of go out, other than obviously the Giant Camp and the manner that happened, though, there still is Superstars game. We have to keep in mind it's Dragon Shard. Team fights like that don't happen left and right, Gilly. This is a laning map, and they were honestly getting dominated through the laning phase.
Okay.
Blessed Shield's used. Urho's fine.
Yoda comes in, Tormented Souls, Equinox in trouble, uses,
baby.
ETC blown up by a Chromie though. Hosty gusts away, trying to channel the Dragon Knight.
And with that Iron Skin, Casanova's in a position to get the interrupt, forcing him to not channel the Dragon Knight. Night Camp up on top is going to lock in that fort. Chromie throwing out a bit of poke, but biggest thing here is the fact that SpaceStation Gaming held their own down that double shrine. A silver lining, but again, this is still a laning situation. This is Dragonshire. They're going to have to make it happen more than once here.
Tiger gets caught from Superstars.
Just double dashed for no reason and slowed there. There's his final dash flight from Hosty. The Tiger JK could go down.
Barrel rolling in to secure that kill. Now Hosty takes some damage from the tri-lane in mid. Dahaka and Grimming come back in. Superstars has been more willing to focus on the shrines, whereas SpaceStation does feel like they are constantly doing what they can to pull Superstars to the middle fight. Yeah, it might mean that they have to give up both of the shrines, but they're just looking to see where they can fight. They're going back to what they do believe they are stronger at than Superstars, and that's the team fighting.
Yeah, and almost all fights taken in the mid lane, though, are a disadvantaged fight on a map like Dragonshire. So SpaceStation Gaming, yes, it is maybe the fight Superstars is willing to give to you, but that's because, again, they know that that is where they're going to have that advantage. Both shrines captured. Hosty quickly barrel rolls over to make sure no Dragon Knight obtained. But on bottom, the pressure's there. Can they get a kill? If Sray goes down, that might be enough.
Yeah, there was a cocktail.
Oh, baby!
Iacona can't get the heal in time with all the damage coming out. A second taken down from Superstars. SpaceStation can finally start sieging down some structures, getting into a position where they have a better foothold on these shrines.
But SpaceStation Gaming needs to have a can't stop, won't stop mentality right now. They need anything they can get with these 14 seconds that two members of Superstars are going to go down. Bottom keep front wall is going to be a nice start to that one as they claim the experience advantage in this game.
Jason found a Malthael Falstad hanging out at their Bruisers, and that keeps top firmly in control of Superstars, getting their own Bruisers, taking down the fort thanks to that, then stealing Bruisers. To take the shrine, Dahaka has to show himself going up there and doesn't have the support of the lane.
Oh, Yoda, Tormented Souls. Gus was dropped too. Equinox is now isolated. They're trying to get the damage output there. Blessed Shield as the response. The heal. Palm goes off.
It procs. Yoda goes down. Here comes ETC. Airho is stunned too with the mosh pit. Talking Tree is still trying to drop all the Sandblast and Dragon's Breath to whittle down the members of Superstars.
Hosty getting chased down by a Burning Rage Casanova. The Q slow. The blinds is enough to get the kill, but he doesn't have it off cooldown. Hosty, he makes it out. Dragon Knight's going to be channeled, picked up by SpaceStation Gaming. They're rounding the 16 talents here, and with the kills they got on bottom, the prepping of that bottom lane they got before. Now, suddenly, SpaceStation Gaming is threatening a keep.
SpaceStation has done what you were asking, which is realize what you can have control of and where you can win. They've been willing to basically just give up that top lane. They sent Dahaka in. He can take that, then stock down for the fight. And they're rewarded with the Dragon Knight and 16s far in advance of SpaceStation.
But it is not
or
over.
Superstars.
Yeah.
Ah!
The Equinox takes a lot of damage once Hosty looks to join in. He's going to go ahead and kick that away. There's still a Flight Gust opportunity, but no 16 still for the members of Superstars as we see Dahaka up on top. It looks like a brush stock's going to come in. Superstars should stop aggressing now as they hear that beautiful audio.
But
Blessed
the Blessed Shield forces a gust. Arrow takes half of his health in damage, but will start to heal back up. Superstars defend their keep. SpaceStation retreat.
Going to walk away here, but Superstars has to be rather thankful that that keep did not go down. And the laning situation has gone effectively for them, or for the first couple of minutes of this game. So, as long as they can restore that balance, and again, maybe take a note out of the book of, SpaceStation Gaming, which was accepting the one element that they were dominating through, go through the team fight out throughout mid. Now maybe Superstars be a bit slower. That Dragon Knight's not going anywhere in mid. You control the shrines. Don't get his aggro here. But that is the second time we have seen the members of Superstars maybe kind of bite off a little bit more than they can chew, and SpaceStation's there to really humble them. Again, with a huge flank, Jason is in a great spot. He actually missed the drag, hit a minion, and now it's going to be a turn.
Yeah, Tormented Souls, a lot of circles of death, but it's Equinox in the center of it all. Ancestral Healing allows one to stay alive, and the Palm will do the same for Equinox. He disengages finally into the back, but it's not enough to save his life. 2 kills for Superstars. 2 kills for Superstars, about to be a third, maybe a fourth after a brilliant power slide. Iron Skin, the slow is there from the mouth, and that looks like all she wrote for Casanova. How much will Superstars get out of this situation, though? That is what we've got to be asking ourselves. Dragon Knight phase doesn't come up for probably another, well, conveniently 25 seconds. Yeah. That'll be instant way before anybody from SpaceStation can come back. So Superstars just starts this bottom lane, getting ready for that. They've taken down the fort. They're getting the minions starting to push toward there. They can see that Dahaka is just dealing with the Bruiser camp in the top lane now, because SpaceStation will have to be ready to defend versus the Dragon Knight once everyone's back up. I mean, to be completely honest here, this is a surprisingly slow transition out of Superstars right now. They have themselves a free Dragon Knight here, and I guess they are willing to go to the Giants here, and they sent 2 members back, but this by no means is necessarily capitalizing as effectively as they maybe could have in this situation. They are going to get those Giants here, and they're going to prep towards bottom. So let's see what Superstars can make happen here. 14-minute Dragon Knight. Giants up on bottom, maybe a keep, maybe. You saw what happened with the last Dragon Knight. That was about a minute less scaling. And death timers are long enough now, though, to where kills probably are more relevant than anything. And we have to consider cooldown timers, too. 35 seconds until Mosh. And not having Ancestral Healing up yet means Superstars doesn't feel comfortable to march all the way over to SpaceStation, deep into the base of red that SpaceStation has. Now those are getting to be up more. Ancestral Healing is the big one. They'll have Mosh soon. They have Arthas inside, so Stray, a survivable person inside. He has Icebound Fortitude if he needs to pop that in his way of retreating after the Dragon Knight goes down. I think it's going to be a very awkward but very important situation for somehow Casanova to remain split from the kill target here of the members of Superstars. How they've been taking these fights, mainly with Urho's thought process, has been they get the kill pressure onto one of the squishies between the Chromie and the Greymane. When Palm comes out, it's been perfectly timed every single time, but Palm is also the same range as the Mosh Pit, so he gets the power slide in, he gets the Mosh Pit immediately after, and suddenly it's a 3-man Mosh after what was a brilliant play from Tiger JK. So getting Casanova to separate, then get the immediate interrupt, and I think SpaceStation Gaming very much can win these fights. That then puts more pressure on Iacona to see if he can judge when Blessed Shield and Johanna goes in for the interrupt. One cleanse to stop all of that. Condemn is really easy to play around. Blessed Shield is a little bit debatable. The forearm animation is pretty easy, but the problem is that you have a time window with Blessed Shield that you don't have of any others. The movement speed in the animation, very, very fast, but the biggest thing is between kill target 1 and you as the support who's inevitably going to get hit. Equinox disengages back. Talking Trees is there. Palm procced. Yoda procs it with Stray, and the fight breaking out on multiple fronts. Yeah, Hosty has the opportunity to barrel roll away if he needs. Yoda gets himself a divine or ancestral healing as he rips through the members of SpaceStation Gaming. Casanova and Dahaka
just going to go ahead and go down here. A lot of focus onto the split between the Night Camp and the rest of the members of SpaceStation Gaming. And that was without Hosty even using a gust. They didn't even need the isolation that they have within their heroics.
They didn't need to disengage at all from that, or even, yes, isolate too. They saw the earlier Blessed Shield. They just had the Mosh on Dahaka, making sure they could get that. Now they'll use the gust. Timeout.
7 long seconds here for this Chromie. Is it 8, 7?
7.
You know, how many Chromies can honestly say they survive much longer than the timeout's duration itself, you know? I feel like the answer's not too many.
Yeah, the problem there is, yes, you have timeout, but you have neither warrior to help bail you out after timeout.
Superstars want to go for core. They're looking to make this happen here. 3 members dead for quite some time. Tiger JK goes in, Howling Blast. Palm is going to land. Shielding on the core is not removed yet, and they get the Falstad. Falstad is dead. That's a lot of damage on the core, and now Dahaka and Johanna are up. They can defend this.
They can. Equinox and Jason marching in through.
That was the only way they held that off that effectively.
Yeah, that was really well done. Tiger JK drew all of the members, used his palm to get more time, and Equinox found a Hosty in the back line. SpaceStation are still in this game. They have lost the first keep. They have catapults, but they are still kicking.
They are still kicking, and the fact that that was not only a kill onto the Falstad, which was most important when looking towards who's going to end this game on core. You got the Gust, you have the auto attack damage output, but then we've got ourselves the Shrining phase, an epic mount Falstad post 20. We always talk about globals on Dragonshire. It's gone for another 20. Yoda is now in a 1 versus 3. A lot of the members are looking to collapse to help him out here, but I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah. Yoda not realizing it. Equinox and Casanova coming in from the 2 different sides, show up at the exact same time. Eros, Ray, and Icon are still going to try to catch somebody out if they can.
They're going for a Miracle Mosh play. That's the only way they have the chance to turn this Army of the Dead. Use Equinox there. Chromie's now coming through with the slowing sands. Howling Blast was disengaged, and that really is the only way they were able to get the kill maybe necessary. Body blocks are there. Power Slide goes through. That's both the interrupts. Falstad's back.
Hosty is back. Iron Skin used from Johanna.
Double catapults on bottom that somebody's got to answer to. That should be Dahaka in a few minutes here.
Superstars is going to be able to get the shrines unless SpaceStation stays up at the top lane. They really do not want to allow Superstars to control both of the shrines. Jason comes around from the side.
Power Slide goes on to Jason, but he's able to dodge with that burrow. Nobody's looking to consume that top shrine, and so we look like we find ourselves with Malthael enough of a window to come back to life. Superstars is given, not even. SpaceStation Gaming has a man advantage here. And they're not only are they sacrificing trading shrines, but their opponents are getting a night camp in the downtime, and nobody's taking advantage of that. Superstars is given another huge window, but now they get the collapse up onto Sray because the night camp was so heavily taken.
Same exact thing. This time, no Army of the Dead. Blessed Shield once again used. Hosty. Oh, I thought I saw him fly off the side for some reason. But he's just fine, and finally, SpaceStation is able to control both of the shrines. All of the members of Superstars drawn to the top. Falstad, they could see Dahaka doing his best to try to get this Dragon
Yoda's
Knight.
Here. They have to all in if they're going to have a chance of stopping this here. A 4 versus 5.
Falstad can get top. Oh, not in time.
Nice interrupt. He backed off.
Well, he was too scared to lose it.
And now Greyman and him are both up on the top lane. Falstad flies throughout mid. He's not going to gust quite yet. Tiger JK getting a lot of pressure.
There's a Tormented Souls, but immediate isolation to make sure that you
Yoda's
couldn't raise strike on the right person. Jason running in, seeing if he can catch that
Ancestral
Yoda.
goes off, but he has no Tormented Soul, so is that the best Ancestral target? Backing is going to be Dahaka, and he is going to brush talk right back up on in. Falstad's yet to use his epic mount to go back up onto top as he see him waiting there into the Bermuda Triangle of Death. Holy cow. Arthas made its way back. Superstars has cycled 2 late-game death timers, and SpaceStation Gaming has been unable to pick up the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, they don't have the same type of epic mount, but they did use Blessed Shield Cleanse from Iacona.
Everything's being dropped to keep them alive. Tiger JK goes in with the punches, but it's not enough. Barrel roll away, and the top shrine wasn't controlled. Now Sray!
Look at Equinox in a spot. He's been caught by Sray.
They're looking to make things happen here. Mosh Pit's still up.
He can't get out of that Frozen Tempest.
But the drag on the Hosty! Do they have enough damage to get the kill? No, the peel and heals are going to be there. Catapult still building up on top. No Dragon Knight being threatened for either side.
Yeah, the drag was great, but SpaceStation's damage dealers, Greymane and Chromie, were zoned all the way back by the Arthas play. He did use Army of the Dead for that. Cooldowns have been used here and there willy-nilly for this very long back and forth final game 5 between Superstars and SpaceStation Gaming. But again, SpaceStation finds a spot where they have to defend at the Dragon Knight because Superstars have both shrines.
How convenient that we start this game and end this game in the same area. SpaceStation Gaming, heavy focus through mid. There's a Dahaka up on top. The Gus, Yoda drops the Blessed Shield, is going to be used as a deterrent to try and peel away. Iacona, good bolt from Urho, but no kills gained yet. Dahaka takes the top shrine. He's walking down, indestructible. There's no way Casanova makes it out.
No, he is so slowed from this entire team. Palm will save him for a time. Time out, though, as Stray is just sitting on that timeout, waiting for Talking Trees to come out. Karazim goes down, but Tree stays alive. Arthas has fallen, so is Jason.
2 members of SpaceStation Gaming are dead. The Q thrown out there from the Fawcett as he has the opportunity to epic mount on top. That is going to be a quick flight from him. Who gets in the Dragon Knight? It looks like no Dragon Knight available. Instead, a great transition here for Casanova down below.
Cass is like, go away, Catapult. I have enough to deal with without you. That was pretty early Iron Skin.
Very early Iron Skin.
And Indestructible has been used.
He's dead. There's no way out of this. There's no healer. There's nothing. So he goes down. Bottom Shrine's going to be captured. Malthael's the best target to put into the Dragon Knight just because he has no Dragon Knight damage, or he has no damage on core whatsoever at this point in time. So Yoda's going to make his way up through mid.
That gives a little bit of time, but just not enough. Hosty will even use Gus just to make sure that this is it.
Because they realize this is a game. This could be game. Without the blind on the Dragon Knight here for 40 more seconds of Johanna, I don't know if they have enough tools to hold off. This is a 22-minute Dragon Knight, Gilly.
It is. Karazim will be back now. Dahaka in a couple of seconds. But still no Johanna for 27. No peels, no blinds, no Blessed Shield.
And now Superstars walk to the core, trying to get themselves the reverse sweep. They're going to start out.
Look at the full Mosh Dream from Airho, even cleansed.
Shielding on the core has just now been removed. Hosty's getting the damage, 80% and counting, but the Dragon Knight is unscathed here. He is nice and healthy. They have done it. The miracle. Superstars gets a reverse sweep over SpaceStation Gaming.
One team down for Superstars, making sure that they are not in the Crucible, that they get to play in playoffs for HGC Finals. You heard it from Airho himself. He truly believes that with the instability of the scene and the strength that Superstars have found now as a 5-man roster, they feel like they can make a run for the 3rd place spot through playoffs and even get to represent North America at the HGC Finals at BlizzCon. Superstars reverse sweeps SpaceStation. It started with a Nova on Tomb, and it ended on Dragonshire. Even winning on Sky Temple, a battleground that traditionally is not a Superstars favorite. They've not had a lot of success there, but you can see the changes that this team has brought in and how great it has been for them to find the synergy within themselves. This victory is momentous for them.
It is, and it's one that I just did not feel like they had the opportunity to. Yeah, we talked about the upset last week. We talked about upsets this week. Who was the team that came out on top? And I very confidently was like, I feel like SpaceStation was the true winner of last week. They come out first 2 games, and the fact that Superstars is able to hold on to that mentality is just ridiculous. And you put it best, like Urho genuinely believing that. And I think that's honestly a pretty healthy mentality to have, especially for the position that Superstars is in. Because let's be real here, you want Team Freedom or maybe a Roll20 sitting in the top of the ladder and really been flexing on some nerds. So it makes sense that you kind of go in and just be like, look it, dude, these guys are not playing the same every single day, which means catch them on the bad day, it's going to be ours. And I don't even feel like they thought that going into SpaceStation, considering they took those first 2 games. So they have to feel even better about it after that. It just, I mean, it feels like a fairy tale at this point for Superstars.
And the way that playoffs for the finals are going to go down, consistency is everything. It will be one best of 5 every single day. 5th place and 6th place will play against each other. The winner of that plays the 4th place in the standings, and then the winner of that will go on to the 3rd place in standings. We're still figuring out who will be in those places, but really at the top of the North American standings, the only consistency that we're seeing is that Roll20 continuing to dominate. They lost 1 game to Even in Death, but they have won all of their matches in Part 2. And ever since Team Freedom started winning their matches, they haven't really looked back from that. And they do have a double match set up this weekend, so we'll see if they can hold true to that. But everybody else, they lost in the upsets last week. Upset weekend. Upset
weekend, you know. We said that with affection, though, right? We've claimed an upset weekend with a heart asterisk.
Yeah, upsets are so fun.
I mean,
rooting for the underdogs.
situational. You know, there is some, okay, let's just take a minute to appreciate the other side of the argument.
Okay.
Yes, everybody adores emotions. And yes, we all are human. Well, some of us, maybe not me, but I can be a robot at times. But most of us do have emotions. And the few that are a part of them and attach to them, it's nice to get onto it. But there is a level of just, I like watching teams that are better than other teams smash, right? And just going at that. And that, you know, I'm more on that side of the table. I'm not taking away. I do agree with you. I root for the underdog.
For one, I adore emotions.
You know, I like them too. They feel pretty good once in a while when you do end up getting them. But most of the time, you got to beat boop. Remember, you got to be cold calculated.
You feel emotions from other things, and that is watching a team smash another team. You're like, yes, that is how things should be.
Yeah.
I'm Dreadnought. Is that how you sound?
I think so. It's just, you know, I just really appreciate the being able to walk in, have zero, not respect, but walking in and playing as if you had zero respect for your opponent. It's essentially taking those risks that we saw both these teams take many times where they end up getting more than they can, but you never got more, or you bit off more than you could chew. You always are pushing, and you're pushing just the accurate amount. And in theory, the team that can accurately convey what they can and can't get is going to be the best team. They are going, the more effectively they get it, the more accurately they can figure those things out, they will be the best team. So I just, that is why I like that mentality so very much.
Yeah, I can see that. But the coming in and taking some risks, you know you're the better team, that's maybe what led to the downfall of SpaceStation Gaming today.
You're right.
They brought in Nova on Team of the Spider Queen. They had their Nova Garrosh set up. We don't know how that strategy goes, though, in scrims. That might have been an unbeatable strategy up until this point. It's hard to say. They were up 2 games in the series. It looked like the best spot, if anything, to try to bust out that kind of strategy.
I'm willing to say this aloud on a broadcast. For any... maybe I can't. I was going to say, Nova on Tomb, anybody who claims that Nova on Tomb has an unwinnable composition or unlosable composition that they can run, I'd be willing to differ. Just Nova on Tomb is not unwinnable no matter what, but there might be some kind of freak synergy where I might be not giving her enough credit. It's
Superstars also can now say that it is not unlosable of a situation. Let's look at the standings while we're waiting for Hosty to join us for a winner's interview. After defeating SpaceStation, Superstars has not overtaken them in standings, but with 5 wins, Even in Death only has 3 matches left, so it is just not possible for them to be able to force both Lag Force and Superstars to get into the Crucible and allow them to get out. So Even in Death, we do know, is going to the Crucible now. But Superstars, it's fantastic for them knowing now that they only are down to 1 threat, Lag Force, and if they can keep going with their wins, winning the games that they've won, and 3 wins, 3-game wins over Tempo Storm and SpaceStation's looking pretty good for them to stay out of the Crucible.
Yeah, it's very, very likely for them. And, you know, and I feel like a lot of their perspective has to be changing as the series went on. I asked Urho, honestly, the reason he answered with that, you know, we think we always have a chance is like, you guys are now in a, we can essentially a not lose versus a winning mentality, right? Like just not lose into against Lag Force, their only competitor, to stay out of that range. And they're like, we just don't care. Like it's not, that's not our goal. It's just we believe we can do this. We're going to show up and play every single day. And the fact that they're successful 2 weekends in a row, which obviously upset 1 is a little bit bigger than upset number 2, it's still just, I mean, the exact opposite of what you expected from a team so consistent, but again, with a downward trend rather than in a positive way.
Well, let's check in with that team with Hosty from Superstars. Congratulations, Hosty. How is the team feeling after your victory over SpaceStation?
We're honestly so more than hyped. We're just super relieved right now. Like things weren't going well for us, and scrims have been tough, and we haven't scrimmed that much. But like honestly, we've all shown up and we're putting in so much work. So I'm really happy we got that win.
How are you guys feeling after losing 2 games in a row? Were you still confident that you guys could make that reverse sweep comeback? Because that's a hard thing to do. Yeah,
honestly, when you're down 2 games, it's really hard, like mentally. And I think our team's really good, but if we have a weakness, it's definitely our mentality as a team. It's very difficult for us to like kind of come back. Sort of like Lag Force, I think. When Lag Force is ahead, they're just so strong. But when they're behind, that's when they struggle. Kind of same for us. So I didn't expect that comeback, but we got it.
Well, props to you guys for overcoming not only a difficult situation, but one that is maybe even more difficult for you guys because you know that that is a probable weakness of yours. I'll send you over to Dread.
Hosty, I got to ask, going forward, man, what does this even mean at this point? Between the highs, the lows, it has been a roller coaster for you guys. And now, I mean, this has got to be the peak. So I just want to know, from your point of view, what does Superstars look like going forward?
Honestly, it's hard to say right now. You know, we've talked a bunch, and like you said, we've had our highs and our lows, and right now we're in our highs right now. So we'll see. We'll look at our practice, see how we can improve, and we're definitely looking for the playoffs. You know, like even if we're not favored, you know, there's still a chance. It's anything can happen. So hopefully we make it.
You know, we got to hear Urho's perspective, but I want to kind of throw yours and get your kind of perspective on it. Is just about the lack of stability when looking towards the top half of North America. That you guys are using that as, you know, kind of a tool to, again, have my faith within yourself. But do you have any perspective on maybe why we see that from some of those top teams or more consistent teams before?
I mean, if you look at Tempo and GFE, both are great teams. They have really, really strong players, a long history behind them. But they're changing things up. And although I do think they're moving in the right direction, for some reason it's just not clicking yet. Maybe they need more time, but I really don't know. Like Freedom and Roll20 are just super consistent right now. I'm really happy with that. Like NA has never, like in a long time, been really consistent. So hopefully they could continue with that.
All right, well, thank you for your perspective. I'm going to send you back to Gilly.
Well, Hosty, congrats again, and good luck next week in your final series of Phase 2, Part 2 versus Gale Force. The floor is now yours for shoutouts.
Well, shoutouts to you guys as casters. You're here every weekend, and you do an amazing job. Shoutouts to my team. We've had a really rough time. When you're losing, it's not easy on your team's mentality, guys. Let me tell you that. So shout out to them for keeping on, you know? And then shout out to Picante. I can't forget about him because he's been there every day with us, scrimming with us, and just being an awesome sub. Really good mentality from him. So yeah,
awesome.
That's it.
Congrats again. Thanks for the shout out, Hosty. Good luck next week.
Thank you. Take care.
Big smiles on Hosty. Picante is on an open division team too.
I didn't know that, you know?
One of the top ones.
I just thought of Salsa. That's all I thought of immediately when I heard Picante.
Let's make sure we can get Dread a snack then. We are going to go to a break, and when we come back, Even in Death takes on Team Freedom. Stick with us.
The enigmatic